I am so excited for today's episode of tasting the chili peppers that we're growing because one of the varieties that's new to us this year and I've been looking forward to ever since I put the seeds in the seeding tray in January is finally ripe. Let's get started. The three varieties I have today are all lower heat varieties. The Fire Away Hot and Heavy, the Yatsufusa, which is a Japanese variety, and the one I've been looking forward to, Biquinho. The first one, I think we're going to start with the Fire Away Hot and Heavy. So this is a lower heat pepper around the heat of a jalapeno, and it's a proven winners variety. So kind of a more mainstream variety and not like a hobbyist or a unique variety. Larger greenhouses are more likely to plant these types of peppers. The proven winners, they're able to get a large amount of seeds. And we did buy some plants to fill in some empty spots in our pepper plot this year. So I thought I'd give it a try. Just because it's mainstream doesn't mean it's not good. Let's go. I'm going to cut this open here first and see what it looks like inside. I'll probably just eat half of it, I think, since I've got 3 more to try. Very juicy. So kind of exactly how you might look a capsicum annum variety to be. Very jalapeno-like on the inside. Kind of an average amount of seeds. It smells a lot like a jalapeno. This is advertised as being something that would be edible in the green stage. It kind of goes through all of the colors. Yellow, then orange, then red. And this one I picked a little orange. I feel like the flavors are a bit more complex than a jalapeno, not so grassy. Let's try it. More heat than I expected. That's tracking, in my opinion, more like cayenne level heat. Maybe in the green, it's more like a jalapeno. Whew, getting right into it. The flavor is, in my opinion, very, very similar to an orange bell pepper. So kind of sweeter, but with the heat. So I could see this being really great in a salsa as an alternative to a jalapeno. It's thin-walled, so not as thick as a jalapeno might be. But not really fibrous either. There's some underlying citrus in it, but more like mandarin orange or a blood orange, kind of that mellowed out citrus, rather than like a bright, punchy kind of citrus. That's pretty good. If you're using jalapenos for just regular cooking, and if you can get a hold of this Fire Away Hot and Heavy, I'd substitute it for a jalapeno in almost all scenarios. I think it just brings a little extra complexity than just a standard, green, grassy jalapeno. So the Yatsufusa is a Japanese variety of pepper. The peppers actually grow upright in the same way a Thai chili plant would. So they're kind of used in the green phase and more likely to be fresh in the green phase when you want just a little bit of heat. And then when they get red, you can add them for more heat. And then of course, when they're red, you can do them for drying. I got these seeds for this pepper from Kitazawa Seed Company, which is a seed provider specializing in Japanese and other Asian varieties of vegetables. So if you like to do your own garden, they're worth checking out. The Yatsufusa might be hard for me to cut open, but let's give it a try. This one in particular was a little older on the plant. I harvested some of the fresher ones for the Incubator Farms CSA and kept this one for myself. So I expect it to be a little papery since it's starting to dry out. The Kitazawa Seed Company in the description actually recommends, if you're going to do dried peppers, wait, until they'll kind of grow in like this cluster, and you kind of wait until they're all red and then just cut the whole cluster at the stem and just hang the cluster to dry them, as opposed to trying to dry them individually. Let's try it. I'm having trouble describing the flavor. It's very interesting. About the same heat, maybe a little hotter compared to that Fire Away. Not nearly sweet, not smoky, not grassy. I think it's just a very mellow flavor. I think I would put it in the smoky category, maybe because it's been dried out on the plant for so long. Ooh, delayed heat for sure. That's starting to build more than I expected, so I take it back. That's actually hotter than the fire away. That's building. Wow. I have water, but I might have to get some milk. I mean, it's okay. I've definitely had hotter peppers. I just was not expecting this build. Yeah, I'm gonna need some milk. Okay, well, I've got my milk. It was just a very delayed heat build. And definitely, we're past cayenne range, in my opinion. The Yatsufusa and the red phase, that's a pretty hot little pepper. I would say it's even hotter than the white Thai from the previous episode. Of course, the white Thai in that episode was underripe. So we'll see what the white Thai does when it's fully ripened into the reddish phase. I'm also really trying to get a good palate cleanse because I really want to enjoy the Biquinho. I'm really looking forward to it. So let's talk about that pepper some more while this heat starts to come down. Not a very distinct flavor. So even though it's a Japanese variety, I think you could use it in any kind of cooking. There's not like a flavor that stands out as this really should be in Mexican food or Indian food or Thai food. Wow. It's also early in the season and I haven't really built up a tolerance yet. Oh. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to trying it in the green phase in a future video to see the differences and give it a comparison. I think for drying it out in the way that they recommend, I think that could work really well. It's a smaller, very thin-walled pepper, so you don't have a lot of moisture. But I think if you live in a very humid climate, you may still need to cut it open, put it in a food dehydrator. So just be aware of your environment when you're drying out these peppers. Keep coming down, but it keeps coming back at me when I try to talk. Whew. That's the hottest one so far, for sure. It's hotter than the white Thai. We'll see what the Biquinho is like. It's advertised as being a jalapeno or lower level heat. So I saved it for the last one, but maybe I should have eaten it earlier. One more quick tip while I'm waiting for the heat to die down. I'm fine. I just really want to enjoy the first Biquinho of the season. If you're drinking milk or any sort of dairy to help take away the heat from hot peppers, don't chug it as much as you want to. Don't chug it. You'll just get a full stomach and throw it up. Take a sip, swish it, let the fat of the dairy absorb the oils of the capsaicin to pull it out of your mouth before you swallow it. Don't just chug it like a glass of ice water. All right, I'm ready. Biquinho time. I'm gonna eat this whole pepper, but I want to cut it open to see what it's like inside. It's so tiny. I think I'm just gonna have to like cut it at a diagonal. I can't quite cut it straight down from the stem. So it's a tiny, tiny little pod. It's so shiny and juicy. I'm having trouble getting it in focus here. There, if I back up. It's so cute. There's like 6 seeds in there. One of the reasons I'm excited about this is that the way the flavor is described sounds exactly the way you would describe the flavor of Scotch bonnet. And I really like Scotch bonnet peppers, but the heat can be hard to take. So there might be mixing them in a recipe where you don't get to enjoy the flavor of the pepper itself. And smelling it, that smells very much like a Scotch bonnet. Reminding me of an orange habanero as well. I'm pretty excited about this. Very bright, very tropical. Oh, that's a good pepper, and I'm sad it's already over. There's a little bit left next to the stem. It almost makes me think a bit of fresh peaches, fresh nectarines, just like these underlying hints of that kind of fruitiness. Very Scotch bonnet-like and not nearly as hot. I think heat level, I should have had the Biquinho first. The Fire Away was getting a little hotter, and that Yatsufusa was... That Biquinho was really good. I'm really excited about that pepper. A lot of great flavor with not a lot of heat. So this is a really good one if you like the flavors of habaneros and Scotch bonnets. It's kind of unfortunate they're so small, because then it's like a lot of labor to harvest the peppers, but it's worth it. And that is a worth it pepper for sure. I think sometimes when they're really ripe, people are able to pop the pepper off of the stem instead of having to cut the stem. So I'm gonna have to give that a try this year. If you order peppers from me and you get Biquinhos and they don't have the stem, you'll know I succeeded in just kind of pulling them off. A pepper that we grew last year, the Chiltepin, is similar. When they're very ripe, they'll just kind of pop off of the stem. You don't even have to trim the stem to get them. It makes them much easier to cook with. But that's really good. I'm really excited about that. I'm looking forward to a lot more. So that's 6 varieties down at about 75, 78 to go. I look forward to spending more time with you on these spicy adventures tasting peppers. The Biquinho pepper's really good.